Hello and welcome, everyone. We're really excited to have you here today for our weekly OCI Deep Dive. For those of you who might be new to these events, we're hosted on Cloud Customer Connect, which is our Oracle community forum for end users. You'll see some links throughout the presentation today that lead you back to that forum. And if you are not a member already, I invite you to create a free account, join in discussions, look for upcoming events of all kinds, and join in that community. My name is Kenna Ketchick. I'm a program manager with the OCI Go-to-Market team. And today I'm joined by Luis Cabrera-Cordon, who is Senior Director of Product Management for AI Services here at OCI. Today he'll take you through the capabilities of OCI Language and how the service can help you. Quick reminders as usual, please use that Q&A box down at the bottom of the screen for any questions. Feel free to drop those questions in throughout the presentation, and we'll have some time at the end for Luis to do a live Q&A of anything that you're curious about. And of course, we are recording, so if you have colleagues who are unable to make it, we'll be sharing the replay out, and I'll drop links in the chat for that as well. So you'll be able to take a look at this later or share it with anyone that you think might be interested. All right. I think that is just about enough from me. Luis, go ahead and take it away. It's all yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much, Kenna. So my name is Luis Cabrera. I am a Senior Director of Product Management. I work on AI services at Oracle. And today we're going to focus on one of them. We're going to discuss OCI Language, which is one of these AI services. So let me actually ask you a question first. So imagine that, I want you to consider a situation where essentially there is a treasure, just like shown in this picture, right? And it's deep down in the, in the ocean, right? Sometimes data is like that, right? So we think it's, if you have data, you have a treasure. But, can any one of us really go down and get that treasure, right? Like it really is hard, right? Like we need the specialized equipment, like the scuba diver right here, right? So you need to be trained, you need to have the right set of tools, you may need some certifications, you need to find oxygen, right? So you need all this special training and equipment in order to really harness or take that treasure up to the surface so that you can actually use it, right? So we have this problem today, right? When we talk of artificial intelligence and machine learning, we have all these wonderful algorithms, we have all these amazing capabilities, but unless you have one of those treasured data scientists, and sometimes unless you have the data to train the models, right? Like essentially, yeah, it's all nice, but I cannot, harness the value of these artificial intelligence and machine learning models. So today we're going to talk about something that we're doing to essentially democratize artificial intelligence and machine learning. We want these to be accessible to you. So what we are doing is we're creating what we call AI services. So these are services that have models that are already pre-built or pre-trained, let me call it that, or that are very easy for you to customize. You don't need to be a special data scientist. You don't need to, to have a ton of data in order to train these models. The goal is for any developer, sure, a good developer, but any developer to be able to use these capabilities. So we're very excited about this. We're working in different areas, speech recognition, vision, language, which is what we're going to talk about today, decision services. And these all fit, in the broad picture of what we produce or what we provide as part of Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, right? So just because I am talking about AI services that are pre-trained today and are geared towards developers, that doesn't mean that if you have a data scientist and can get very deep and you need a platform to do data science, it doesn't mean that we don't have that. We also have that. So there is Oracle Data Science or OCI Data Science available for that. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about AI services and how they can help you. More specifically, we're going to talk about language, right? So we're gonna continue to build more and more of these AI services as time goes on, but we're very excited about this concept. All right, so let's talk about the capabilities of OCI language, right? So essentially, OCI language allows you to understand text. This is think of it as a library of natural language processing capabilities, right? So it recently G8, and the 5 capabilities that we have today, we're building more and more as time goes on, but the ones that are released to the public today are language detection, named entity recognition, sentiment analysis, more specifically aspect-based sentiment analysis. We'll talk about that later. The ability to extract key phrases and pre-built text classification. We're gonna go through each of these capabilities today so that you know what they are, and we may discuss like, hey, how can you use them? We're gonna do a few demos so that you know how to consume them, and we're gonna point you to resources to train you to use these capabilities. So let's start with language detection. So this is very simple, right? Literally, it has to do with me providing a piece of text to the system or to the service. And the service is supposed to tell me back like what language this text in. So in the example here, I provide the text "Vi älskar detta landet," and then the service will, has been trained with a bunch of text in different languages and can automatically detect that this is Norwegian. So scenarios where you may want to use this, imagine that you have customers around the world and they are sending you data, let's say support tickets, right? They're opening support tickets or providing feedback to you. You may want to route the tickets that are in Norwegian to someone that understands Norwegian so that they can do something about it, right? You may want to route the tickets that are in Spanish to someone that speaks Spanish. So this is how you will automate that, and then you could send these tickets to different locations. Also, if you want to further use some of the capabilities that we describe here, right? It is good to understand the language that the text is in first, so that later on you can provide that signal to other components so that they can work in the respective language. So let's talk about another capability I mentioned earlier, aspect-based sentiment analysis. This has to do with gauging the mood or tone of the person writing the text, right? Like, so when we write something, we may express how we feel about things and whether we feel positive towards something or negative towards something. The aspect-based sentiment analysis essentially identifies not only the whether something is positive or negative, let's say a whole sentence, but also identifies what are the aspects that are being mentioned. So for instance, if I were to say, actually I have an example in the next slide. Let me just use that. I have this verified purchase feedback on someone that bought a griddle. And then I will send this piece of text, great nonstick pan and just the right size or something, but the drop pan is way too small, right? So you can see how somebody is feeling good or bad about particular aspects of this griddle. So when I send this to the service, what the service is gonna do is gonna identify those aspects, the ones that are highlighted here, and identify whether the sentiment is positive or negative. And that's exemplified here by the color of the highlight, right? So in this case, the fact that this person said great means that they feel good about the nonstick pan. They said that the drop pan was too small, so therefore it gets negative sentiment. The warming tray, they said get rid of it, right? So that's also negative sentiment, and they want the drip tray to be bigger. Once again, they're not happy with it. So that's what the service will do, but it will do it automatically, right? So if you have thousands and thousands of these types of reviews, it could be very, very useful. I'll give you a demo of this capability later in the presentation. Actually, I will do the demo later on where we review thousands and thousands of reviews, but right now let me just show you a small demo of how this service is used, and then we're going to talk about the rest of the capabilities. So let me switch here to my, this is the demo we'll do in a second, to my Oracle Cloud. By the way, to use the capability, you just in your Oracle Cloud Console, you go to Analytics and AI, and then click Language on the AI services. And then this will take you here where you can, once you set the right policies, then you can enter any text to analyze. Here I have some text right here, and then you can decide what to do to that text, right? So let me just, let me put something else here just to show you language detection. I'm gonna just focus on that for a second. And then I will enter some text in Spanish, which is a language that I actually speak. So I will say something like, estamos en una presentación de inteligencia artificial. Espero que podamos aprender mucho. Okay, so let me analyze that. And you can see that it identified that was Spanish with 98.6%, right? So, so now I could, let's take whatever text was there before and let me actually do sentiment analysis on it. And then you can see here that without me reading the actual text, I can identify the aspects that are positive or negative, right? So you can play with the capability right here without having to write a single line of code. You can see what it will do, right? So next, we're going to talk about text classification, named entity recognition, and key phrase extraction. So hold your thoughts there, and then we will explain what that is. Okay, so key phrase extraction. Key phrase extraction has to do with what is being talked about, right? So let's say I take a news article, I run it through the service, and then it will find the most relevant or salient points. Think of it as extracting the key phrases, right? And based on, you know, how often they appear in the text and whether similar phrases are expressed. And the most important will go to the top, right? So they come with a confidence score. If you sort that by the confidence score, then you will see the most relevant phrases. Then when will you use that? Well, you may want to extract think of it as auto tagging, right? So if you can automatically generate tags, if you are working with a customer support scenario, let's say, just the fact that you can show those tags right away will be useful for someone dealing with a set of tickets so that they don't have to read the whole thing. Or maybe you want to use it to identify facets that you may want to use in a search environment as well. Or even if you want to find patterns, what are the tags or phrases that are most common, not just for this record, but in general, like if you have a lot of records. So there are a lot of interesting use cases for this as well. Named entity recognition is another capability that we have. This has to do with identifying entities such as names of people, organizations, locations, currencies, percentages, emails, right? So you can see the full list here on the right. And some of these are also private identifiable information, and the system will tell you if it finds some of these that are PII or private identifiable information. Think of, let's say that there is a contract or something like that, and then you pass it through the system, then you will know who the players are in that contract because it will identify the names of people, for instance, right? Or you may want to highlight, hey, whenever money is being mentioned in the contract, I want to, make it super clear and highlight it just in case somebody needs to review the terms of the contract, for instance. Or you may want to identify each of these so that you can use it as facets in a search experience as well, right? So similar to key phrase extraction in that sense. Yeah, so very, very interesting tool, very exciting, and the private identifiable information aspect is important as well, because sometimes we want to, get rid of private information in the data that we have. So super interesting as well. So just as an example, I just took a random piece of text from the news, ran it through the service to see what would be extracted. And this is the representation of what was extracted. So you can see names of people being mentioned, geopolitical entities, times, money, right? Organizations, right? So this is how the service works essentially. Let's actually go back to our previous demo, just to let's actually do key phrase extraction and named entity recognition. Let's analyze it. And you can see how it extracts the named entities, right? So organizations, events, dates, and so forth. The key phrases, as I mentioned them, right? Like so automatic extraction of those tags. And I should point out that whenever you use these capabilities, you can use them both through our SDKs or through REST APIs. So all the information, when it's returned, really is returned in JSON format. So you can see here, for instance, this is the JSON of an entity that was found in the text. In this case, Nigeria is a geopolitical entity. This is the confidence score, right? So 94%. The offset, this is the location in the text where it's found. The length of the text, I guess this is just the character count of Nigeria. And then in this case, Nigeria is not private identifiable information, right? It's not the name of a person or something like that. So yeah, so just to give you an idea of the type of result that you will get, and then you can decide what to do with it. All right. The last capability that I wanted to share with you is automatic text classification. So literally, this is about us taking, giving you the ability to classify a piece of text into a set of categories and subcategories. So we have over 600 total categories and subcategories. And so let's say that I give you a piece of news and it will say, hey, this is in the business and industry section in mining, let's say, right? So that's the kind of an example of classification, right? So once again, this could be useful if you have, let's say you have thousands and thousands of news articles and you wanted to automatically classify them, right? So this is a tool that you could use to do that without having to have humans read all these news articles, as an example. Okay, so we were talking about how to consume it. We will share with you a lab that will teach you how to actually use it, but just so that you are aware, right? So you can consume this through REST APIs. We have SDKs in a variety of languages. I'm sure you will find the language that you use here. And you can also try the capabilities from the console, like I showed you, but also through the Cloud Shell. So you can actually write scripts to extract insights from text, I guess. And so yeah, so essentially it's developer ready and ready for you to consume. I have another demo for you that is a little bit more involved. So in this case, I have a sample Excel spreadsheet of thousands and thousands. This is a very long spreadsheet of that has reviews for a hotel, right? So in this case, like there is all this valuable information about a hotel for any of these rows. I could read it and identify like how people feel about a particular hotel, let's say, right? And if I were the owner of that hotel, I would want to use this information to improve my services, to know what are people's pain points, right? But it's just so much of it. And if I just read like 10 of, like, let's say I take 30 minutes and want to do something about it, as a human, I would probably have time to read 10 or 15 of these, maybe make some annotations and then do something about it. But then I am biased to only the 10 or 15 that I had time to read, right? So what I want to do really is to use OCI language to look not just at 15 of these, but look at thousands of these and identify patterns, right? So in this case, what we did was we created a data integration flow. So data integration is out of the scope of this presentation, but just to give you an idea of a higher architecture, right? Data integration allows you to create pipelines, right? And think of them like ETL pipelines, right? And in this case, I read all of the hotel reviews. This is what this source block is for, right? So I have I read all those reviews from that CSV file. Made a few minor transformations. For instance, said like, hey, treat a particular column as a date, or treat a particular column as an integer, things like that. And then I called my AI services through a serverless function. In this case, I extracted the named entities and the sentiment from the system. And then I was able to project the aspect-based sentiment into a set of tables, or the named entities, right, into another tables, and the reviews into other tables. And then now I have this information, right, like what I extracted using the OCI language service. And now I can do something more interesting with it because I have structured information. So let me go to this view for a second. Let me just actually look at the data view, just so that you have an idea of what the data look like. So this is Oracle Analytics Cloud. So it's a visualization tool now that I have the data, and I stored all the data in 3 tables on a database. But let's take a look, right? So I have the reviews table, right? So this should look very similar to that spreadsheet, right? So you can see, and I apologize if the screen is too small, but essentially each row represents one review, right? So I have a bunch of different reviews for different hotels, and then I extracted the sentiment. So I also have a sentiment table. The sentiment table is a little bit different. So in this case, each row is a row per aspect. So I could have several rows here that are connected to the same record ID, which is what is shown here on the left. So the same record ID may appear in several rows because one review may actually express several sentiments or aspects, I guess. So for instance, I could say, hey, I love the decor of this hotel, but I don't know, but it was, the price was too high, let's say, right? So decor will have a positive sentiment, but price will be a negative sentiment. So I have 2 aspects connected to the same row. And similarly, I have a table of entities that were automatically identified. And for each of these tables, I told the system that the record ID is the same on all of them, so I can do join operations on them, and create some nice visualization. So let me go back to the visualization that I had. Oops, I think okay. So I think this is it. Okay. All right, so in this case, I have my my hotel reviews right here, and I can see very quickly, this is a graph of each of the reviews and the sentiment expressed. So I can see a lot of positive and negative aspects being mentioned here. And I can even see patterns, right? You can see this interesting pattern where for a period of time at least, the number of reviews was increasing, and every quarter, I had this high peaks, I guess, probably people staying there more in the summer or something like that. But as a user, I am concerned because I don't see that growing pattern anymore. I see less reviews about my hotel. Maybe less people are staying there, or less are willing to give me feedback. Maybe I change the way that I was asking for feedback, for instance, right? So that's something that I may want to look into, right? The other thing that is really cool here is this word cloud on the right. This word cloud, I filtered just to show me the negative sentiment aspects, because those are the ones that I actually want to work on to improve something. And obviously I can do things such as this one, where I filter a particular set of quarters, and then I can, in this case, I just took 3 quarters, and then I can see for that period of time, what are the most important areas to focus on, because the size of the font in the word cloud tells me, like, hey, you have more reviews that mention this particular aspect, right? So that's pretty cool. So I can see, for instance, that there are 6 reviews for parking during that period of time. I can click here and click see reviews, and very quickly I can find what's going on with it filters the reviews to only the ones that mention parking in some way, right? And then I can very quickly look at it, right? So expensive parking, charges for parking will cost you $16 per night. Look, people are not happy about paying for parking. And this may be an expensive hotel. People are paying $300 a night or something already. Why don't I just give parking for free to my guests, right? Like, that may be an easy way to keep them happy, so they can come back to use this hotel again. So the nice thing is that this is not something that I will have found out that quickly or that easily had I not analyzed this data like this, right? Otherwise, I would just have thousands and thousands of reviews. I wouldn't know which ones to pay attention to or which ones are more relevant today, right? So that's super, super important. All right, let's talk about how you can learn how to use our service. Actually, before that, just in retrospect, what this demo was all about then, right? So there is a pattern that is very important here that I want to highlight, that doesn't apply only to OCI language, but really anytime that you're using AI services. You want to ingest data, you want to extract insights using artificial intelligence, and then you may want to do something with them, right? Like, you want to explore the information, you want to analyze it, you want to visualize it, maybe even train a machine learning model based on that, right? So this is exactly what we did here, right? So we ingested the data from customer review data. Then, we extracted insights through artificial intelligence. In this case, we use data integration, serverless functions, and AI services, and then projected those insights, right? Or this is the load part of the ETL pipeline, right? We projected it into a place where we can store this structured information, in this case, using autonomous data warehouse. And then we want to explore this information. Now that it's structured, now it opens the door for us to do analysis, for instance, right? So that's how we use Oracle Analytics Cloud in this prior example. All right, so now with that said, pricing, it's super, super affordable. If a transaction is essentially one record of up to 1,000 characters. So if you were to take, let's say that you have 5,000 reviews, each of them are less than 1,000 characters. You can do that for free, right? Like, you actually can use our service up to 5,000 transactions for free. You don't have to pay a penny. Once you go over the 5,000 transaction, then you pay 25 cents for 1,000 transactions. So there really is no reason not to use our service. It's super, super affordable. If you were to compare similar capabilities in other clouds, you have to go really, really high volumes on those clouds to get to this price. And this is where we start. So we're very excited about offering you very competitive pricing. All right, to use, here are some resources for you on how to use the service. I try to create short URLs in case you want to take a screenshot or something like that. And also, Ken, I will share with you a lab, a self-paced lab that you can do, that you can use. Let me actually see if I can navigate to it right now. Just give me 1 second. So I have this workshop that is very complete, right? Like, so it has several modules, and it teaches you, like, introduces OCI language, how to analyze things or text in the console, how to use the command line interface, how to use the language SDKs, the REST API, how to use it within a data science notebook. Very, very complete workshop, step by step. It doesn't require you to have a lot of prior knowledge. So I highly recommend you use this resource. It can be very, very valuable to you. So, okay, so these are some of the links. And Kenna will provide the actual link to the workshop. I think that's the most important part. If you need to contact us, there is this AI services contact group. You can contact the product management organization at AI services there with feedback, questions, thoughts. Maybe you have an idea of a project that you want to do. Feel free to reach out to us. We want to stay connected with you as our customers. All right, thank you so much. And I guess with that, we'll go to Q&A. Kenna?
Yeah, there are several questions in the Q&A box there for you, Luis, definitely. If you have any questions, please go ahead and drop that in the Q&A box if you haven't already. I think folks who had questions in the chat, I'll move them over to the Q&A box as well. So we can open that up.
Okay, so I'm looking at the questions right now, and okay, so it says, there is a question, can we configure actionable rules once we identify these facets? That must be in relation to identifying facets through either key phrases or entity extraction. And I guess, you know, like OCI language, think of it as a building piece, right? Like it will extract those for you, and then you can do whatever you want with them, right? So if you want to create a pipeline like similar to the one that I created for the customer feedback analytics scenario, then you can do something with it, right? So, but it is outside of the scope of OCI language to create those rules or events or whatever you want to create. Okay, another question. Is there additional cost to consuming these OCI AI services through REST APIs? We charge you the same whether you call them through REST APIs or through SDKs. Once again, the price is for 1,000 records of 1,000 characters each. We charge you 25 cents, and the first 5,000 of those records are free per month. Another question. Are there any modeling tools for the statistical modeling prior to delving into AI coding or to trap requirements? For instance, we had UML. I am not sure I completely parse your question, honestly, but yeah, I mean, for instance, I guess let me put it this way. So at least once we extracted in the example that I gave you at the end, right? Once we extracted the entities or the sentiment, right? As you saw when I opened the Oracle Analytics Cloud, it showed you statistical modeling of each of the rows and so forth, right? So you certainly could use any tools to do something like that. And by the way, if you do the lab, it will actually show you how to use or how to call our AI services from the data science notebooks, and then you have full Python access, so you can do any kind of statistical analysis as well. Okay, another question. Does sentiment analysis work with different languages? For instance, I understand English, but my customers are Spanish. I want to understand if the customer sentiments are positive, negative. Perfect. Yeah. So you need to, in order to solve your problem, right? Like in this case, you need support for 2 different languages. So right now, today, obviously language detection works with over 75 languages. Essentially, any language of relevance will be there. And the now, aspect level sentiment analysis is not, it's only English right now. And that said, we're working very quickly to add support. In this case, for Spanish, I expect us to have Spanish in the next 2 or 3 months for certain. So we're adding more and more languages as we go along. And yeah, so I will say, hey, if you're gonna do something, don't get blocked on Spanish. In this case, it will be coming pretty soon. All right, another question. When I am analyzing the customer feedback, I want to see one single view where I include sentiment analysis of all my customer reviews in different languages, Spanish, English, French, etc. Is that supported? Yeah, so you can do anything you want, right? So just like I was able to create graphs, you could filter based on language or create a graph based on language. That certainly you could do. Once again, just want to be super clear, that's something that is done as a post process of extracting the insights, right? So OCI Language will help you extract the insights, extract that structured data, and then you will use a tool like Oracle Analytics Cloud to do any kind of analysis you want on top of that. Okay, what is the difference between OIC and OCI? I don't know what OIC is, so I'm not sure I can answer that question. But OCI, it's the name of our cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And, AI Services is just one of the many, many products, right, that the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure has. Is there a lab or reference? Okay, Masen, I sent you already the link. I think Kenna shared that in the chat window by now, I hope. Let me check.
Yes, it's in the chat.
Okay,
and it will also be in the replay post on the community forums. I'll make sure that all of the links that you put in your slideshow are also there as well, so people can find those. It should all be up in about 24 hours, but all the resources you posted will be in that link. And the link to the replay post is also in the chat for folks as well.
Excellent. So yes, we have a lab and it's a very complete lab. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, sorry, but I guess there is a little bit more to the question. How to consume OCI language from OCI data integration. That's so the lab does not include how to connect to OCI data integration, but feel free to reach out to me at the email that I sent before, and I can send you specific instructions on how to do it until we post a complete lab. So I hope that this helps. Yeah, just reach out to me. We certainly have the instructions. It's not part of the lab yet, but we're planning to add it. In the meantime, I can send you something. And then, is it possible to convert a language into, say, English and analyze? Okay, so this is the question about whether we support translation from one language into another. Not today, but we're working on it. And all right. A lot of good questions today. One more question. Is OCR service part of the named entity recognition service developed by Oracle? Or are you using third-party OCR? OCR should be the first step for the named entity recognition service, correct? I think, look, OCR is different. They're different things, right? So today we talked about how we can analyze text. There are other situations where you may have information in images, right? And maybe you want to extract the text out of images. For that, we have another AI service. It's currently in limited availability, which is an vision service. So we have that capability. If you want to be part of that, reach out to us and we can connect you with the vision team so that you have access to that LA product right now. But yeah, that's separate from language analysis or natural language processing. Okay, so okay, and let me see. I think that's it. There is another question about some third-party provider, but I'm not going to talk about other providers as this is about Oracle. Yeah. Any final questions?
There was one up at the top. Says, are all these language services pre-trained models? Is any customization possible?
Yeah, very, very, very good question. So these are all pre-trained models. That means that you can use all these capabilities without having to bring your own data, essentially, or without having to have any data science knowledge. Now, there is a second question there, which is, hey, can I customize it with my own data? Like I may have my own data and I want to customize it. Not today. It is something that we are working on. So stay tuned. We're very excited about adding easy to customize capabilities to our service as
well. Excellent.
Let's see, anything else? Thank you for those that said wonderful presentation. I appreciate it. Happy to help. Let's see. Okay, one more question, I think. Could you go over the cost structure once again? Okay, so once again, so if a transaction, or what we could define as a transaction, is calling an API with up to 1,000 characters. Okay, so one of those transactions is costs so little that we don't even give you the price for that. You have to make 1,000 of those, and then we'll charge you 25 cents. But with one caveat, the first 5,000 of those are free. We want you to try the service. We want you to play with it. And that's the reason we give you 5,000 free transactions. And is transaction, okay, yes, there is a follow-up. Is a transaction the same as a record? Well, right now it kind of is, because there is a limit on the size of a record, but over time we are increasing the size of a record. And in that case, a transaction will not be the same as a record. So you may have a record that may issue several transactions. Imagine that you have a long record, 5,000 characters long. In that case, we will charge you for 5 transactions instead of 1. I hope that was clear. Let me see if there is anything left. I think that's it. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be with you. And I hope that you get to use OCI services. Once again, if you have questions, you can reach out to us in the email that I shared in the resources slide. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Luis. Have a great day, everybody. Go check out the forums for more questions, and we'll see you next time.